The Real Mccoys, starring Walter Brennan, created by Irving Pincus.
Want you to meet the family known as the Real Mccoys. That's Grandpappy Amos, the head of the clan. He roars like a lion, but he's gentle as a lamb. And now here's Luke, who beams with joy since he may take Mrs. Luke McCoy. From West Virginia they came to stay in sunny California. Old Grandpappy Amos and the girls and the boys of the family known as the Real McCoys.
Hey, Grandpa, we're in a very interesting article here.
You say, we got a bunch of lazy chickens on the hands here. 7 eggs. Why, the Easter rabbit could do better than that, and he ain't even a chicken.
Well, that's just why I come out here, Grandpa. See, I read this article here in the Grange Journal. It says we can get more eggs if we run electric light bulb in the hen house.
Oh, I get it. Something to read by?
So that... Oh, that's very funny. Making a joke about a genuine scientific fact. No, you see, Grandpa, the whole idea is, with the light on, the hens think it's still daytime.
Well, now, if they're smart enough to lay an egg, it seems as though they ought to know the difference between the sun and the light globe.
Grandpa, we got $25 in the cookie jar. That'll more than pay for the wiring. And we'll get up to 40% more eggs, according to the Grange Journal.
Oh, that goddamn Grange Journal filling your head full of a lot of nonsense. Why, when we joined that thing, I thought they was going to have dancings and sociables and suppers and such like.
Well, now, that ain't the only purpose, Grandpa. The Grange is trying to teach us how to do things more modern.
Well, we are modern, ain't we? We bought a tractor.
Yeah, well, that ain't doing us much good until we get them new spark plugs.
Well, I'll get the plugs, but just don't give me no more talk about putting lights in the hen house.
I'm telling you, Grandpa, we'll get more eggs.
Well, we're going to get more eggs. We're going to change the way of feeding. That's what we're going to do. We're going to feed nothing but straight corn.
Oh, now there, that's the worst thing you could do. That's too much starch. You'll just cut down on their laying.
Don't you know nothing? You know why a hen quits laying? Because she's out of yellow for the yolks.
Is that so?
Yes, that's so.
Well, then, why don't you feed them red and blue paint so they'll lay Easter eggs?
Because they're... That's rightly modern, you. Sassing your elders like that.
Grandpa, what have you got against progress?
I ain't got nothing against progress. The only thing I'm against is a hen house with light in it.
Luke, what are you doing here? You're going to be late for school.
I'm studying my horse hairs.
What kind of studying's that?
If you let them soak in rainwater, turn into fishworms.
Where at did you hear that?
From Grandpa. He knows things even my teacher never heard of.
Yeah, well, maybe there's one or two things that Grandpa don't know about. Why don't you run on to school and see if you can learn them? Come on now.
If you don't believe me, Luke, ask Grandpa. Them horse hairs are going to turn into worms.
Them's not for us. It's hard-boiled eggs and the cakes for a picnic little Luke's class is giving.
Huh.
Oh, what did Grandpa say about the lights in the hen house?
Oh, same thing he said about adding vitamins to the cow's feed. Same thing he said about every other improvement for the farm.
He said no.
Yeah. When most people get old, they get hardened into the arteries. With Grandpa, it's hardened into the head.
Oh, no. Some of your Grandpa's ideas.
Oh, he's your Grandpa, too? You know, you married into him.
Our Grandpa. Some of our Grandpa's ideas are going to get this farm into a peck of trouble. I just wish we could get him to one of them Grange meetings. Did you ask him about the one tonight, Luke?
Grandpa? Of course not. Oh, he wouldn't go.
Well, maybe if you was to tell him that it was the county agent's annual talk. I know he doesn't listen to you, but if an expert was to talk to him...
Kate, yeah. The only expert Grandpa's going to listen to is himself. No, the only thing he thinks the Grange is good for is socializing.
Socializing? Say, Luke, you know I'm one for telling the truth, right? And dead set again lying.
Well, what about it?
But there's times when a little white lie is the best thing you can do.
What are you getting at, Sugar Babe?
Well, I'm all for telling Grandpa that there's a party at the Grange tonight.
Telling Grandpa? Oh, no. He'd never forgive us.
But, Luke, he's got to hear that county agent's talk.
No.
He'd be grateful later on.
Kate, now I just ain't got the nerve.
But, Luke...
Gee, I'm so mad I could chew 10 penny nails. You know, that cow's off in the feed. She didn't give hardly no milk at all. I'm going to try pepping her up with a little milkweed.
Milkweed? Grandpa, milkweed won't do her no good.
Why, of course it will. Why do you think they call it milkweed? Ain't you never heard of... Say, somebody tasty-looking cake. We having a party, are we?
Oh, no, Grandpa, that's for...
It's for a party over at the Grange tonight, Grandpa.
Now, Kate.
Why didn't you say something about it in the hen house?
Well, Grandpa, Kate is
You
trying...
know, Grandpa, I don't think there's a prettier picture in all this world than seeing you square dance with the ladies.
Are they going to be dancing, too?
No, not exactly, Grandpa. No, what it's going to be is...
dancing and games and all sorts of fun.
Kate, I don't think you are...
Oh, I've got to, Luke. I've got to ask him. Grandpa, won't you teach Luke that fancy do-si-do of yours?
Well, I can't teach you, Luke. You're either born with it or your feet, or you ain't. Now, when the good Lord is passing out the dancing blood to us Mccoys, he just give me so done much, I guess when he get to you, there won't much left.
I guess that's true.
Say, Kate, I'll give you a Sunday school to the press, huh?
Oh, of course I will.
I'll go get it for you. Remember that picture show we seen where that dancing fella stretched his muscles by putting a foot up in the railing?
Oh, you mean that ballet dancer?
Yeah.
You mean the one that jumped up in the air and applauded himself with his feet?
That's him. Well, I was in there limbering up, and I got one foot up in the bedstead. I'd like to never got it down. What's the matter with you, son? You look kind of worried.
Oh, he's just worried about us being late. You all ready, Grandpa?
Oh, yeah, I'm all ready. Just want to dust off my dancing shoes, that's all. Hey, where's the brush at, Luke?
No, I left it out in the porch, Grandpa.
It's for his own good, Luke.
Might get stuck again. No sense in making late for the dance.
Good evening, Senor Grandpa.
Oh, Peppino, all dressed up. Where you taking Conchita to the dance, are you?
I wish I could, Senor Grandpa, but Luke says I got to go to hear the county agent talk of modern farming.
It's pitiful the way some people waste their time. Well, come along with us and we'll drop you off. Where you going?
To the Grange meeting?
Peppino, you ain't paying attention. That's where we're going. I asked you where you're going.
To the Grange meeting, Senor Grandpa. That's where the county agent is going to give the speech.
No party?
No, Senor Grandpa.
No dancing, no games?
Not tonight, Senor Grandpa.
Just a speech?
Just a speech.
Well, I might have known it. Anybody that'd fool a poor innocent chicken into thinking it's daytime when it's nighttime wouldn't stop at tricking an old man.
Oh, Grandpa, would you take the cake out the car?
You sure I won't strain myself before I get to the dancing?
Well, I don't hardly think so, Grandpa.
Well, I don't hardly think so neither, because there ain't going to be no dancing. You all tried to trick me into going to hear a county agent make some fool speech. Peppino told me about it. Why, I'm just a nurturing a nest of vipers here in my bosom. My whole family turned against me.
Well, Grandpa, we fooled you, and I'm sorry. But we did it because we thought you'd enjoy it and learn something interesting about modern farming.
Modern farming, huh? Well, I ain't going to go. I'm going to sit right here and fester.
I'm going to stay and help you, Fester. I ain't going to be no viper.
Well, what's left of us better be running along.
And just for that, I ain't going to get no spark plugs neither. We're going back to using the mule.
You still mad at Luke and Kate for last night?
I'm madder than a jar of hornets. Here I am, the head of the family, the best gall-done farmer in the state, and when they want to know something about farming, they go listening to strangers.
Good morning. This is the McCoy farm, isn't it?
It sure is. I'm Amos McCoy.
How do you do? I'm Harold Dundee. Is Luke McCoy home?
Here, run fetch him, little Luke. Here, take these in with you. Well, I guess I ain't never met you before, have I, son?
No, I haven't had that pleasure, sir.
You got nice respect for your elders. I appreciate it. Ain't been much of that around here lately. How come you met Luke?
We met at the Grange meeting last night, sir.
Guess it was kind of pitiful, wasn't it?
No, I thought it was quite successful.
Well, I heard there was an ignoramus making a speech about farming.
I guess that's a matter of opinion, sir.
You talk real nice. I bet you come from West Virginia, don't you?
No, sir, I don't.
I respect you for admitting it.
You getting along all right with Mr. Dundee, are you?
Of course we're getting along all right. He's a fine boy. Got respect for his elders. He's welcome here anytime.
Well, I'm mighty glad to hear you say that. See, I was afraid you'd get mad my asking him over here to look over the farm.
Show place of the county. Why should I get mad?
Well, Grandpa, Mr. Dundee is the county agent.
County agent? Well, what do you mean by coming here and telling me you come from West Virginia?
Well, I wasn't, remember?
It's lucky you didn't try to fool me. I supported you from the first.
Grandpa, lit up a mite, will you?
And you shouldn't be calling me sir if you don't mean it.
Luke, I better run along. No, don't go. Look, Grandpa, I asked Mr. Dundee over here to help us. He's going to look at the farm.
Oh, is that a fact? Well, how big is your farm, Mr. Expert?
I don't have a farm, Mr. McCoy.
Hey, you hear that, little Luke? Mr. Expert ain't got no farm.
Grandpa, Mr. Dundee graduated from agricultural college, and he's read all the books.
Books? Have you ever been on a farm, Mr. Expert?
Yes, sir. I've been spending my summers on the farm ever since I was a little boy.
Summers? And you want to stack your vacations up against 65 years of my life as a farmer? Now, Luke, I ask you in all fairness, does that make sense?
Grandpa, you see...
Well, we're going to see right now where we all stand. You take your choice again, a real expert or a total ignoramus.
Which one are you, Grandpa?
I'm the real expert, Carl Turnage.
I ain't turning again you, Grandpa, but I want to do what's best for the farm.
Well, that's exactly what I want you to do, Luke.
Well, I want to do things scientific, Grandpa, so I'm afraid I'm standing with Mr. Dundee.
All right, Luke, if that's the way you want it. You're making your own bed and you got to lay in it. But there's one thing I want you to do. Take a look at what's on that other pillar.
Grandpa. Don't pay him no mind, Mr. Dundee. I understand. Well, I appreciate your coming over here, but I'm afraid I wasted your time. See, I can't turn again, Grandpa.
Oh, I'm sorry he has that attitude, Luke. But maybe you can change him.
Grandpa? Well, he ain't been changed since he was a baby. And even then, it was a tussle.
Confounded Peppina. That county agent ought to be thrown in jail for what he done.
He was only trying to help, Senor Grandpa.
I know, but he split my family right down through the middle. Only one on my side now is little Luke. The rest of them's hardly speaking to me. Don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stand it, neither. You sure you put in enough corn?
Si, Senor Grandpa. I've been feeding them even more than usual.
That corn is just going to make them lay.
You know that, but maybe nobody told the hens.
Peppina, you got an emergency on the hands.
What is the emergency?
The longer that ignorant expert seems to be right, the longer I seem to be wrong. It just ain't fair to my family. Why, it's denying them the pleasure of being friendly with me. Ida Bell? Not even you? Peppina, I'm going to take direct action. I know just what I'm going to do, and you keep your mouth closed.
I didn't say nothing. I don't even know what you're thinking about.
Well, you keep your mind closed, too.
Ida Bell, do you know what he's talking about?
Well, evening, family. How's my good-looking kinfolk tonight?
What's gotten into you, Grandpa?
Well, Luke, how about a game of checkies? I bet you're getting so good you could beat me by now.
Oh, no thanks, Grandpa. I got this here farm journal to read.
Well, what are we going to talk about?
Well, do we have to talk about anything?
Well, sure, we got to talk. That's what families do after supper, sit around and talk to each other. Or ain't that modern?
Grandpa, why don't you forget about that? You're flogging a dead horse.
Yeah, speaking of horses, that reminds me, I'm hungry.
Speaking of horses makes you hungry?
Yeah, sure. That's what I got an appetite like. And speaking of appetites, you know what I could do with?
Muzzle?
Omelet. And speaking of omelets, little Luke, why don't you run out in the hen house and get some fresh eggs, get eggs.
At night?
Grandpa, have you taken leave of your senses? Who ever heard of collecting eggs at night?
Well, when you feed them corn, you gotta do it. Elsewise, the nest will overflow. Now, run along, little Luke. And if the load gets too heavy for you, just give us a holler, huh?
Grandpa, what are you going to tell him when he comes back in here without them eggs?
Well, what are you going to tell him if he comes in with a hat for?
Grandpa, don't you know what you're doing to little Luke? You're closing his mind up tighter than a clamshell with these old-fashioned notions of yours.
Oh, Luke, what's the sense of talking to a man that's dead set again learning?
I ain't set again learning.
Grandpa, do you know what the county agent done over at the Peabody place? He analyzed their soil, and he told them it needed phosphorus.
Phosphorus? What do you want shiny fields for? They going to plow at night?
Grandpa, you was right. I found a whole handful of eggs. What do you know?
Look at that.
Corn, there's too much starch for hens, I recollect you saying. And that's all right, Luke. I forgive you for being wrong and turning against me, but next time I tell you something about farming, you better write it down so you won't forget it. It don't go for you, little Luke. You know most of it anyway. Now, you take them out and put them in the icebox, yeah? So it'll be nice and fresh.
Corn sure does funny things to hens, making her lay hard-boiled eggs.
Hard-boiled?
Yeah, it's the corn, little Luke. It's just making them hens that work so hard they're overheating.
Yeah, well, this one's so cold, if I didn't know better, I'd swear it'd come right out of the icebox.
Well, of course they're cold. It's just like I told little Luke. It's the corn. Them hens work so hard they get overheated. Then you bring them eggs out in the cold night air and they get chilled right through. You believe me, don't you, little Luke?
I guess so, Grandpa.
Little Luke, you and Hassie go on to bed. We got some talking to do to Grandpa.
Night.
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 Grandpa, how could you do a thing like that?
I guess I better put these corn-fed eggs back in the icebox where they came from. I know how many eggs are hard-boiled, Grandpa. What do you want me to do, count them?
Grandpa, it's bad enough you won't let us modernize the farm, but tricking little Luke into believing your ideas, that's low.
But how about you telling me there's going to be a dance at the Grange?
That's different. You ain't a little boy. Leastways, not in years.
Now, Grandpa, you're not going to squirm out of this. Somebody has got to tell little Luke the truth. Now, who's it going to be?
Now, you just wait a minute,
I think when a man does something wrong, he's the one should right it. And I think it's wrong to take advantage of a little boy just because he loves you so much he'd believe anything you say, even lies.
Well, it may be lies to you, but now you let me tell you something. All down through the years, us Mccoys have been feeding our chickens corn in order to make them lay. And if you're going to take the word of some newfangled progress again, 4th-generation Mccoys, then you're no kid of mine.
I ask you to forgive me, Lord, for doubting my grandpa's word for a minute there. My grandpa's never lied to me, and know he never will. If he says them chickens laid cold, hard-boiled eggs, that's what they done.
Kids, we'll find him.
He didn't even come into my room to say goodnight to me last night.
Well, little Luke, Grandpa's a mite upset.
But it's the first time he missed, ever.
Luke. Hassie, little Luke, go on in the kitchen. Your lunch is on the table.
I ain't hungry.
Well, try. Go on.
Go on.
Luke, the $25 that was in here is missing.
You don't suppose Grandpa's trying to get back to West Virginia, do you?
I don't know. We did talk pretty mean to him last night.
Yeah, I reckon we could have showed a little more understanding. I guess Grandpa's feelings are a sight more important than a light in the hen house.
Luke, you don't really think that Grandpa would... Grandpa, you're back.
Of course I'm back. What you expect?
Well, where in tarnation you been? You ought to be ashamed of yourself for worrying us that way.
I've been getting spark plugs, among other things. The tractor don't run without spark plugs, you know.
Mr. Dundee, what are you doing here?
Well, Mr. McCoy asked me to help him with some shopping and then take a look around the farm.
Well, what shopping did you do, Grandpa?
Oh, we got some wiring for the hen house, and just as soon as the cookie jar's filled up again, we're going to put running water in there, too.
Well, I thought you were against things like that.
Well, I am again. It's a lot of nonsense, but a man's got to be patriotic.
What's being patriotic got to do with it?
Well, any knothead can see that. Mr. Dundee's a county agent, ain't he?
Well, that's right.
And the county's part of the sovereign state of California?
Yeah.
And California is one of the 48 states of the United States?
Well, sure.
Well, when I pledge allegiance to the flag, I'm including the counties. Now, Mr. Dundee here is, you might say in a manner of speaking, is a talking for the president. And how do I know? Not having lights in the hen house and no running water neither might be against the Constitution. It's something I don't want to have no part of. I say, come on, help me unload this car, will you?
Grandpa, you're back! Grandpa!
Okay. There's something I want to tell you. You know them hard-boiled eggs you found under the hens?
Yeah?
Yeah, I put them there.
Why, Grandpa? Were you playing a joke on us?
Yes, it was a sort of a joke. Well, it wasn't exactly a joke neither. It was a dishonest thing for Grandpa to do, and I'm ashamed of myself. From ashamed. Well, come on out here. I want to talk to you. There's something else I want to tell you. You know them horse hairs in the barrel?
Yeah, Grandpa?
Well, I took a look at them. They ain't going to turn into worms. It was the old-fashioned horse hairs that done that. You know, I plumb forgot these horse hairs is modern.
I figured something was wrong.
And you see, they just don't make horse hairs like they used to.